There are narcissists out there who know exactly what they are, and they're using that knowledge to become even more dangerous. Well, hey, it's your boy back again, and we're diving deep into something that's going to change how you see these toxic people forever. All right, let's get right into it. Self-aware narcissism. Now that's the ultimate psychological paradox, if I've ever seen one. You got these folks who aren't just full of themselves in that classic oblivious way. No, these are the ones who look in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm a narcissist. And instead of that being a wake-up call, they twist it into their superpower. It's like they've got the owner's manual to their own messed up wiring, and they're reading it to figure out how to short-circuit everyone else's lives. We're talking about people who know the rules of human decency and choose to break them anyway, all while patting themselves on the back for being self-aware. It's a mind bender, folks, because awareness is supposed to lead to change, right? But not here. Here, it's just another tool in their arsenal. Now, why does this matter? Let me tell you about a patient I encountered years ago. This guy walks into my office, sits down, and says straight up, I know I'm a narcissist and I'm damn good at it. Boom, just like that. No shame, no regret, just pure pride. He'd been manipulating his way through relationships, careers, you name it, and he was there not to change, but to refine his technique. He wanted me to help him be a better version of his toxic self. That moment hit me like a ton of bricks because it showed me how self-awareness doesn't fix these people. It arms them. I've seen it play out in families torn apart, in workplaces turned into battlegrounds, all because someone knew their flaws and weaponized them. If you're dealing with someone like this in your life, understanding this paradox could be the difference between getting sucked dry or breaking free. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because this series is going to give you tools you never knew you needed. Hit that button, join the conversation, and let's build this community together, because knowledge like this, it's power, and I want you armed and ready, okay? Let's break this down further. First off, we got to contrast the traditional narcissist with this self-aware variety. Your classic narcissist is like a bull in a china shop. They charge through life with that inflated ego, demanding admiration, lacking empathy, and never once questioning if they're the problem. They gaslight, they manipulate, but it's all on autopilot. They don't see it, don't acknowledge it, and if you point it out, they flip the script and make you the villain. Now enter the self-aware narcissist. This one's different. They know the diagnostic criteria. Heck, they've probably read the DSM or watched every psychology video on YouTube. They admit, yeah, I'm selfish, I lack empathy, I need constant validation. But here's the twist: that admission isn't a step toward healing, it's a get out of jail free card. They use it to excuse their behavior, to make you feel like you're overreacting because, hey, at least they're honest about it. And that's the shocking reality, how self-awareness becomes a weapon, not a cure. Think about it in therapy. We celebrate insight as the first step to change. But for these folks, insight is just intel. They take that knowledge and level up their game. It's like a hacker who knows the system's vulnerabilities and exploits them even more efficiently. Instead of working on their issues, they study how to hide them better, how to manipulate with transparency. I told you I was like this. They'll say after hurting you, as if forewarning absolves them. It's insidious because it preys on our natural tendency to forgive honesty. But honesty without change, that's just manipulation in sheep's clothing. These people aren't curing their narcissism, they're curating it, refining it into something sharper, more precise. And let me tell you, from 45 years in this field, that makes them exponentially more dangerous. They anticipate your reactions, they counter your boundaries before you even set them, and they do it all with a smile, knowing they're one step ahead. So I want you to comment below, have you ever met someone who openly admitted they were selfish and manipulative, but somehow made it sound like a good thing? Now, let's talk real-world implications. Why are these self-aware types actually more dangerous than the oblivious narcissists? Well, the oblivious ones are predictable. Their ego blinds them, so you can spot the patterns a mile away. But the self-aware, they're adaptive. They use their knowledge to blend in, to charm you with their vulnerability. Picture this in a relationship. They might say, "I'm a narcissist, so don't expect too much empathy from me." And you think, wow, that's refreshing honesty. Next thing, you're excusing their cruelty because they warned you. In the workplace, they climb the ladder by admitting their ambition up front, making colleagues drop their guards. Families get destroyed because the self-aware parent knows how to play the "I'm flawed but trying" card, all while emotionally starving their kids. Society-wise, these people can rise to power. Think politicians or CEOs who tout their ruthless honesty as a strength. The danger multiplies because their awareness disarms us. We let them in closer, thinking knowledge equals reform. But it doesn't, it just gives them better camouflage. And the fallout, deeper trauma for victims. Because the abuse feels premeditated, calculated, you're not just hurt, you're outmaneuvered. Let me share a personal story, a case study from my 45 years of practice that really drives this home. I remember this woman, let's call her Sarah, who came to me after years in a marriage that was slowly eroding her soul. Her husband, Tom, was textbook self-aware narcissist. He'd read all the books, gone to a few therapy sessions, and he'd tell her outright, "Look, I know I have narcissistic tendencies. I need admiration, and if I don't get it, I lash out." Sounded like progress, right? But Tom used that awareness to justify everything. When he'd belittle her in front of friends, he'd say, "Babe, that's just my narcissism talking. Don't take it personally." When he isolated her from her family, it was, "I'm self-aware enough to know I get jealous easily. It's for our own good." Sarah stayed for a decade, convinced that his honesty meant he was working on it. But he wasn't. He was weaponizing it. In our sessions, Tom admitted he knew exactly how his words cut her down, and he did it anyway because it kept him in control. It took Sarah hitting rock bottom, anxiety attacks, loss of self-worth to see the paradox we worked through, and she got out. But the scars, they run deep. Stories like this aren't rare. I've seen hundreds. They show how self-awareness, without genuine remorse or effort to change, turns a personality disorder into a precision-guided missile aimed at the hearts of those around them. You think that's crazy? Wait until you hear about the twisted logic they use to justify everything they do. You ain't gonna believe the mental contortions these people put themselves through to stay on top of their game. All right, picking right up from that mind-bending paradox we just unpacked, where self-awareness turns into a weapon instead of a wake-up call. Now let's talk about how these self-aware narcissists justify it all. It's like they've got this internal courtroom where they're both the judge and the jury, and they always come out innocent. They twist logic into knots to make their toxic behavior seem not just okay, but downright brilliant. We're diving into the justification game, folks, because understanding this is key to not getting roped into their web. So, at the heart of it, we're looking at the cognitive processes of self-aware narcissists, the way their brains work overtime to keep that ego intact. These aren't your run-of-the-mill thinkers. They've got layers upon layers of mental tricks that let them acknowledge their flaws while doubling down on them. It's fascinating and frightening all at once because their minds are wired for self-preservation at any cost. They process information through a filter of me first, and anything that threatens that gets flipped, spun, or straight up ignored. From my 45 years in this business, I've seen how this cognitive setup isn't just random, it's a deliberate system they've honed to perfection. Let me introduce you to what I call meta manipulation. That's manipulating while knowing you're manipulating, and get this, feeling zero guilt about it. It's like they're directing their own play, aware of every string they're pulling, and they revel in it. Traditional manipulation is sneaky, hidden, but meta manipulation, it's bold, it's out in the open, and it's twice as effective because they layer self-awareness on top to make it seem sophisticated. Hey, I know I'm playing you, but at least I'm upfront about it. That's the vibe. This framework explains why they can hurt people left and right and sleep like babies at night. It's not denial, it's elevation. They turn their narcissism into a philosophy, a lifestyle choice that's supposedly superior to everyone else's naive way of living. Now, Let's get into the rationalization machine, how they justify harmful behavior like it's no big deal. These folks have an excuse for everything. They step on toes, break hearts, sabotage careers, and then boom, they've got a story ready that paints them as the hero or the victim. It had to be done, they'll say, or they brought it on themselves. It's a machine because it's automatic, efficient, and it never runs out of fuel, that fuel being their unshakable belief in their own rightness. I've watched it in action. A self-aware narcissist cheats on a spouse, gets caught, and instead of remorse, they rationalize monogamy isn't natural anyway. I'm just evolved enough to admit it harmful. Sure, but in their mind, it's justified because they're living authentically. That machine churns out excuses faster than you can call them on it, and it keeps them feeling powerful, untouchable, one of their favorite defenses. I'm just being honest about human nature. Oh, they love this one. It's their go-to shield. They drop it like a mic after doing something rotten. Hey, everyone's selfish deep down. I'm just honest enough to own it. But let's call it what it is, a deflection. Honesty about human nature doesn't excuse exploiting it. They use this line to normalize their toxicity, making you question if you're the one who's too sensitive or unrealistic. From what I've seen in countless sessions, this defense works because it taps into our doubts. We all have flaws, right? So they position themselves as the brave truth tellers while the rest of us are in denial. It's clever, it's insidious, and it lets them keep harming without consequence. Don't fall for it, folks. Honesty without accountability is just manipulation dressed up fancy. And speaking of fancy, let's talk about the superiority complex. Why they believe self-awareness makes them evolution's gift. These people don't just think they're better, they know it, and their self-awareness proves it in their twisted view. Most folks are blind to their own crap. They'll say, but me, I'm enlightened. It's like they've ascended to some higher plane where narcissism isn't a disorder, it's an advantage. Evolution's gift, because in a dog-eat-dog world, knowing your predatory instincts and owning them puts you at the top of the food chain. They see empathy as weakness, vulnerability as a liability, and their self-aware ruthlessness as the ultimate survival tool. I've had patients boast about this. One guy told me, I'm a narcissist, but that awareness makes me smarter than the average bear. I win because I see the game for what it is. It's a complex that fuels their ego, justifying every cutthroat move as natural selection. To make this real, let's look at practical examples across workplace scenarios, relationships, and family dynamics. In the office, picture a self-aware narcissist gunning for a promotion. They sabotage a colleague, then admit it openly. Yeah, I threw you under the bus, but business is war, and I'm just playing to win. Justification. I'm honest about my ambition, you should be too. In relationships, it's the partner who ghosts you emotionally but says, I warned you, I suck at feelings, that's my narcissism. They justify neglecting you as authenticity. Family-wise, think of the parent who prioritizes their needs over the kids, admitting, I'm selfish, but at least I'm not pretending otherwise. They twist it so the family feels grateful for the honesty, even as resentment builds. These aren't hypotheticals. They're patterns I've dissected in real lives, showing how justification permeates every corner. Drawing from therapeutic sessions with self-aware narcissists, let me give you some professional insight. Over 45 years, I've sat across from dozens of these folks, and it's always the same song and dance. They come in knowing the lingo, Doc, I'm a narcissist, but hear me out. Then they launch into justifications that could fill a book. One session sticks out, a woman who manipulated her friends for years, admitting it all, but rationalizing, if I don't look out for me, who will? Self-awareness means I'm not fooling myself like they are. In therapy, they use our tools against us, turning insight into armor. It's why traditional approaches often fail. They intellectualize without emotional shift. From these sessions, I've learned their cognitive processes are like a fortress. Justifications are the walls, self-awareness the moat, keeping real change at bay. Now, breaking down the least I'm honest fallacy, this one's a doozy. It's a fallacy because honesty isn't a virtue if it's just a precursor to harm. At least I'm honest implies that admission erases the damage, but it doesn't. It's like a thief saying, "I told you I'd rob you," and expecting a pass. These narcissists peddle this to shift blame. "You knew, so it's on you." But true honesty comes with responsibility. Theirs is hollow, a tool to disarm criticism. I've seen victims buy into it, thinking, "Well, he did warn me," and staying in the abuse. Don't get suckered. It's a fallacy designed to keep you hooked while they keep hurting. Do you find yourself making excuses for someone who least admits they're selfish? Have you ever been told, "I warned you I was like this"? After being hurt, this twisted logic doesn't just stay in their heads. It wreaks havoc on their relationships, turning partners into pawns and friends into enablers. But hold on, because next we're going to unpack how they turn emotional manipulation into a downright art form. These people have turned emotional manipulation into an art form, and they're not even trying to hide it anymore. Now that you understand how they think, let me show you how they operate. We've peeled back the layers on their self-awareness and those wild justifications. But now it's time to see the machinery in action, the day-to-day tactics that make self-aware narcissists such masters at pulling strings. These folks aren't fumbling around in the dark. They're orchestrating symphonies of deceit. And the scary part is they let you in on it, which somehow makes it hit even harder. From my years dealing with this, I can tell you it's not just manipulation. It's elevated to a craft, refined through that twisted self-knowledge we talked about. All right, let's unpack the toolkit, the advanced manipulation techniques these self-aware narcissists pull out when they want to control the narrative, the emotions, heck, the whole room. They've got an arsenal that's sophisticated because it's layered with transparency. It's not your basic love, bombing, or silent treatment. No, these are upgraded versions where they admit the game while playing it, disarming you before you even realize you're in checkmate. Think of it as a magician who tells you the trick beforehand but still fools you. That's the level we're dealing with. They study psychology, they know the weak spots in human behavior, and they exploit them with precision. In relationships, at work, and families, this toolkit keeps them on top, sucking the life out of anyone who gets too close. And trust me, after 45 years of seeing this up close, I know how devastating it can be if you're not armed with the knowledge to spot it. Let me give you a real-life scenario to make this crystal clear, a detailed breakdown of a conversation I had with a self-aware narcissist patient. This guy, let's call him Mike, came into my office complaining about his failing marriage, but as we talked, it was obvious he was the architect of the chaos. He sits down and says, "Doc, I know I'm a narcissist. I manipulate my wife all the time. Hell, I'm doing it right now by being here. Making her think I'm trying to change." Boom, right out the gate, he's admitting it, but watch how he twists it. I ask him about a recent fight, and he goes, "Yeah, I gaslighted her. Told her she was overreacting when I forgot our anniversary on purpose. But come on, I warned her from day one that I'm selfish like that." See? He's confessing, but it's laced with justification, making it seem like she's the fool for expecting better. As the session went on, he described love, bombing her with gifts after blow-ups, saying, "I know it's a tactic to reel her back in, but it works, doesn't it?" The whole conversation was a masterclass in meta manipulation. He was even trying to manipulate me by seeming insightful. By the end, it was clear his awareness wasn't for healing, it was for owning his edge. Stories like Mike's show how these talks aren't confessions, they're performances designed to keep the upper hand. Diving deeper into the core of this, let's talk about transparent manipulation, how they manipulate while admitting they're doing it. It's their signature move. They lay it all out. "I'm going to charm you now because I need something." And bam, you're charmed anyway because the honesty feels refreshing. But it's a trap. That transparency builds trust, making you drop your guard, and before you know it, they're steering your emotions like a puppet master. I've seen it wreck lives, a boss who says, "I'm manipulating the team for motivation, but it's for the greater good," and employees buy in only to burn out. The admission doesn't stop the harm, it enables it, turning victims into willing participants. It's ruthless, folks, because it preys on our hope that awareness means change. Then there's the reverse psychology masterpiece making victims feel guilty for being manipulated. Oh, these people are pros at this. They flip the script so you're the one apologizing. I know I'm playing mind games, but if you weren't so sensitive, it wouldn't bother you, they'll say. Suddenly, you're questioning yourself, am I overreacting? Should I be grateful they're honest? It's a masterpiece because it uses their self-awareness to gaslight you into self-doubt. From my experience, victims end up feeling like the problem, begging for more abuse just to prove they're strong enough. Don't fall for it. It's designed to keep you off balance and them in control. And let's not forget love bombing with disclaimers. I'm probably going to hurt you, but enjoy this while it lasts. This one's a gut punch. They shower you with affection, gifts, attention, the works, but tag it with a warning label. I know I'm a narcissist, so this intensity won't last, but isn't it fun now? It hooks you deep, creating that addictive high, and when the crash comes, they shrug, I told you so. It's love. Bombing evolved with built-in absolution. Partners get trapped in cycles of bliss and pain, always chasing the high while the narcissist stays detached, knowing exactly what they're doing. Let me share a personal anecdote about recognizing these patterns in professional settings. Early in my career, I was consulting for a company where the CEO was a textbook self-aware narcissist. He'd openly admit in meetings, I'm manipulating you all to push harder, it's my narcissistic drive, and people laughed it off as motivational honesty. But I saw the toll employees drained, turnover high, morale in the tank. In one-on-one, he confessed to me, Doc, I know my tactics are toxic, but they get results. It was a light bulb moment. These patterns aren't just personal, they infect organizations. Spotting it there helped me develop strategies to counter it, and it's why I warn folks that honesty is often the sharpest weapon. Now, the gaslighting evolution, advanced techniques that make victims question reality while acknowledging the manipulation. Classic gaslighting denies your reality, but this version admits it and twists harder. Yeah, I'm making you doubt yourself right now, but isn't that proof you're too emotional? They acknowledge the tactic, which confuses you more, evolving it into something meta and merciless. Victims end up in a fog, second-guessing everything while the narcissist smirks. See, I told you I was good at this. It's evolved because their self-awareness lets them refine it, anticipating your pushback and countering before you speak. To help you spot this in the wild, here's some practical recognition tools. Start with a red flag checklist. If someone admits their flaws but never changes them, red flag. If they warn you about their behavior, then do it anyway, huge red flag. Watch for patterns like alternating intense affection with cold withdrawal, always with a disclaimer. Specific examples in dating, I know I'm commitment phobic, but let's see where this goes. Run. At work, I'm cutthroat, but that's business before they undermine you. Common phrases and their hidden meanings. I warned you really means this is your fault. At least I'm honest translates to excuse my abuse. You're too sensitive is code for stop resisting my control. These aren't innocent. They're weapons. Body language and tone indicators. Look for smug smiles when admitting manipulation. That's enjoyment. A casual shrug during confessions shows zero remorse. Tone-wise, listen for that condescending, insightful voice like they're teaching you a lesson while hurting you. Arms crossed, eye rolling during your complaints, classic dismissal. To wrap this up and get you thinking, here are some questions to help you identify these patterns in your own lives. Do you ever feel like someone's honesty about their flaws is just an excuse to keep hurting you? Have you been made to feel guilty for calling out manipulation, even when they admit it? Are there people in your circle who love bomb with warnings, leaving you hooked on the highs? Reflect on these folks, because spotting them is your first line of defense. And remember, understanding their operations is power. Use it to protect yourself. Here's the kicker. These people know all the therapy tricks because they've studied them and they're using that knowledge against you. All right? Building on how these self-aware narcissists operate with their slick manipulation tactics, let's talk about why throwing therapy at them often backfires spectacularly. From my 45 years of clinical experience, diving into the trenches with all kinds of personalities, I can tell you straight up, these folks are a breed apart when it comes to treatment. I've sat across from thousands of patients, dissected countless cases, and let me say, the self-aware ones. They don't just resist therapy, they hijack it. It's like handing a loaded gun to someone who already knows how to aim dangerous. Folks, real dangerous. My background isn't just book smarts, it's hard-won wisdom from real lives, real pain, and real breakthroughs, or in this case, the lack thereof. When I started out, I thought insight was the golden ticket, but boy, these self-aware narcissists taught me otherwise. So why are self-aware narcissists therapy's biggest challenge? Well, traditional therapy thrives on self-reflection leading to change, but these people flip the script. They come in armed with knowledge, they've read the books, watched the videos, maybe even dabbled in sessions before, and they use it to outmaneuver the process. It's not about getting better, it's about getting better at being bad. They acknowledge their narcissism, sure, but that awareness becomes a shield, not a stepping stone. Therapists like me end up in a chess game where the patient is always 3 moves ahead, predicting interventions and countering them with twisted logic. From what I've seen, this makes them slippery. They engage just enough to seem committed, but deep down, there's no real intent to shift. It's frustrating, it's exhausting, and it leaves well-meaning professionals scratching their heads, wondering why the usual tools aren't working. Now, let's get into the intellectual insight without emotional change phenomenon. This is the heart of the problem. These folks can rattle off their diagnoses, explain their behaviors with textbook precision, but when it comes to feeling remorse or empathy, crickets. It's all head knowledge, no heart shift. They intellectualize their issues. Yeah, doc, I know my lack of empathy stems from childhood trauma, but it stops there. No emotional processing, no vulnerability, just a cold analysis that lets them continue as is. I've witnessed this over and over. It's like they're spectators in their own therapy, observing but not participating. The phenomenon is maddening because it mimics progress. They sound insightful, but it's a facade. Without that emotional buy-in, change is impossible. It's why so many therapists get fooled at first, thinking they've got a motivated patient, only to realize it's all smoke and mirrors. Let me illustrate with a case study, a detailed example of a therapy session gone wrong that still sticks with me. This patient, we'll call him Alex, was a high-powered executive, sharp as a tack, and fully self-aware of his narcissism. He struts in and says, "Dr. Phil, I know I'm a narcissist. I've read all about MPD, the grandiosity, the manipulation. Let's fix this." Sounds promising, right? We start unpacking his marriage troubles, how he'd belittle his wife, use her insecurities against her. He nods along, even throws in terms like projection and transference, showing off his psych vocab. But when I push for emotional accountability, like, how does it feel to hurt her like that? He deflects feel. Come on, doc, you know narcissists don't do feelings well. But at least I'm here, right? The session spirals. He turns my questions back on me, accusing me of projecting my biases. By the end, he's not changed. He's refined his defenses, using therapy lingo to justify staying the same. We went a few more rounds, but he bailed when real work loomed. Alex walked out more entrenched, and his wife, she suffered longer because he dangled that "I'm in therapy" carrot. Cases like this show how therapy can actually empower them if we're not careful. Diving into the core of this mess, let's talk about how they weaponize psychological terminology. These self-aware types don't just learn the words, they wield them like swords. Gaslighting. "Oh, I know I'm doing it, but it's your attachment issues making you react this way." Bam! So they've turned therapy speak into a weapon, deflecting blame and confusing everyone. It's ruthless. They quote Freud or Jung out of context to sound profound, but it's all to maintain control. In sessions, they'll say, "This is just my defense mechanism kicking in," excusing bad behavior on the spot. From my experience, this weaponization erodes trust, making genuine therapy a battleground. Then there's the "I'm in therapy" shield, using treatment as a manipulation tool. Oh, they love this one. They sign up for sessions, tell their partners or family, "See, I'm working on myself, and use it as cover to keep manipulating. It's a shield because it buys time, sympathy, and leeway. Give me a break, I'm in therapy. But behind the scenes, they're not changing, they're gathering intel to manipulate better. I've had patients flash their therapy attendance like a badge, all while escalating their toxicity at home. It's a tool, plain and simple, turning healing into a con. And here's why insight doesn't equal change in personality disorders like this. Insight is cognitive. Change requires emotional rewiring, which narcissists resist because it threatens their core self. Their ego is built on superiority. Admitting true fault crumbles that. So they collect insights like trophies, but never apply them. It's a disorder thing. The wiring is off, and awareness alone doesn't rewire it. Therapy needs motivation, and these folks lack it unless it serves their narcissism. Tying this to research, studies on narcissistic personality disorder and self-awareness back this up. Experts like Kernberg and Fromm have shown that narcissists with insight often become more entrenched, using knowledge to fortify their defenses. Research from folks like Campbell points out that self-aware narcissists score high on intellectual understanding but low on emotional empathy, leading to poor therapy outcomes. These aren't just my observations, the data screams it. Awareness without empathy is a dead end. Finally, the therapeutic alliance breakdown when patients become adversaries. Therapy thrives on partnership, but these self-aware ones turn it adversarial. They challenge the therapist, test boundaries, even manipulate the dynamic. You're just like all the others, Doff, trying to shrink me down. It breaks the alliance, turning sessions into power struggles. I've felt it, that shift from collaborator to opponent, and it dooms the process. Now, what does all this mean for family members and partners? If you're involved with one, don't pin your hopes on therapy fixing them. It often makes things worse, giving them new tools to hurt you. You'll end up more frustrated watching progress that never materializes. Why you can't fix them with logic or evidence? Because their disorder isn't logical, it's emotional armor. You present facts, they twist them. I know I'm wrong, but... And the cycle continues. Logic bounces off. It's not a thinking problem, it's a feeling one. Warning the danger of believing they can change because they know what they are. That's the trap. Their awareness fools you into thinking reform is imminent. But knowledge without action is worthless, and it lulls you into staying, enduring more abuse. Don't buy it. Actions, not words, tell the truth. For protection strategies, set ironclad boundaries. No excuses for bad behavior, therapy or not. Build your support network, educate yourself on MPD, and consider your own therapy to heal. If it's toxic, walk away. You can't save them, but you can save yourself. Document everything if needed, especially in legal situations. All this therapy talk sets the stage for the real nightmare. Living day. Today in relationships with these self-aware narcissists where their on-site becomes your daily torment. If you think dealing with a regular narcissist is hell, buckle up because the self-aware version will take you to places you never knew existed. All right, building off why therapy often crashes and burns with these folks, let's get real about what it's like living with a self-aware narcissist, the day-to-day nightmare that turns relationships into war zones. From my 45 years counseling couples on the brink, I've seen how this plays out, and let me tell you, it's a whole different level of torment. These aren't blind egomaniacs, they're calculated operators who use their insight to tighten the screws. We're talking dynamics where honesty becomes the cruelest weapon, leaving partners, families, and friends reeling. I've watched good people get ground down, and it's why I'm passionate about arming you with this knowledge so you can spot it, survive it, or better yet, steer clear. Let me start with a personal story from my counseling days, an anecdote about a couple I worked with where one partner was a classic self-aware narcissist. This pair, John and Lisa, came to me after years of what Lisa called emotional whiplash. John was upfront from the start. "Doc, I'm a narcissist. I know it. Lisa knows it." Sounded like a step in the right direction, right? But as we dug in, it was clear John's awareness was his ace in the hole. He'd admit to neglecting her needs, saying, "I'm selfish, but at least I'm honest about it," and use that to shut down any complaints. In sessions, he'd turn to Lisa and say, I told you this is how I am. Why are you surprised? It was heartbreaking watching Lisa shrink, convinced she was the problem for expecting more. We worked hard, but John never budged. His self-awareness just made him better at dodging real change. They split eventually, but Lisa's recovery took years. Stories like this, they're why I do what I do, to shine a light on this hidden hell. Now, the unique torture of transparent abuse, that's what sets these relationships apart. With a regular narcissist, the abuse sneaks up on you, hidden behind denial, but self-aware ones, they abuse you out in the open, admitting it as they go, which twists the knife deeper. It's transparent, meaning they confess their cruelty while committing it, leaving you disoriented. Yeah, I'm ignoring your feelings right now because I'm focused on me, they'll say, and boom, you're left questioning if it's even abuse since they owned it. This torture erodes your sanity slowly because it's not just the act, it's the mind game of knowing they know better but choose harm anyway. From what I've seen, victims end up feeling complicit, like they signed up for it, which amps up the guilt and isolation. It's a unique brand of pain, folks calculated, confessed, and crushing. And here's the ultimate relationship trap. I told you I was selfish. Oh man, this line is a killer. They drop it after every betrayal, every letdown, like it's absolution. I warned you. They say, shifting all blame onto you for staying. It's a trap because it preys on your hope. You think their admission means they're working on it, but nope, it's just a free pass to keep being awful. Partners get snared, excusing behavior they'd never tolerate otherwise, all because that honesty feels like progress. Don't get caught. It's not transparency, it's manipulation masquerading as virtue. See, that's how self-awareness becomes a weapon against partners. They weaponize their knowledge to anticipate your moves, counter your boundaries, and keep you off balance. I know my narcissism makes me controlling, so bear with me. They'll say, but it's code for I'm not changing. It disarms you, makes you second guess calling them out because, hey, they already admitted it. In the hands of a self-aware narcissist, insight isn't a tool for growth. It's ammunition to dominate, leaving partners depleted and doubting their own reality. Let's break this down with some detailed scenario analysis, starting with romantic relationships, love with full disclosure of harm. Imagine dating someone who says up front, I'm a narcissist, so expect hot and cold, but the highs will be amazing. They disclose the harm, then deliver it love bombing one day, ghosting the next, always with that, I told you. Fallback, it's love laced with warnings, creating a roller coaster where you cling to the peaks, ignoring the valleys. Partners stay hooked, thinking the honesty means potential, but it's a cycle of disclosed destruction. Then there's parent-child dynamics, raising children while openly acknowledging selfishness. Picture a parent who admits, I'm narcissistic, so don't expect me to put you first. They neglect emotional needs, prioritize their ego, but frame it as honest parenting. Kids grow up confused, craving approval from someone who openly withholds it, leading to deep-seated issues like low self-worth. It's heartbreaking. The transparency doesn't soften the blow. It normalizes the neglect, making kids question if they're worthy of love. In workplace relationships, professional environments with self-aware toxic personalities turn toxic fast. A boss who says, I know I'm a narcissist, I demand loyalty and take credit, then does just that. They disclose their flaws to seem relatable, but use it to exploit teams, pitting colleagues against each other while admitting the game. Employees burn out, but the honesty makes complaints seem petty, keeping the power imbalance intact. And friendship patterns, how they maintain social connections while being openly manipulative. These folks build networks by admitting, I'm selfish, but I'm fun, then use friends for validation or favors, discarding them when bored. The openness draws people in. At least they're upfront, but it's manipulative, creating one-sided bonds where friends feel used yet obligated thanks to that disarming transparency. Shifting to victim impact assessment, let's talk psychological effects on partners and family members. The toll is brutal: anxiety, depression, eroded self-esteem from constant confessed belittling. Partners feel gaslit by the very awareness that's supposed to help, leading to chronic doubt and isolation. Family members, especially kids, internalize the toxicity, carrying scars into adulthood like trust issues or their own narcissistic traits. The confusion factor is huge why victims stay despite knowing the truth. That self-awareness creates a false hope. They know they're flawed, so change is coming. Mixed with love bombing and intermittent kindness, it confuses the heart, making leaving feel like giving up on potential. Victims rationalize, at least they're honest, staying in the fog far longer than with oblivious abusers. Then trauma bonding, how transparency creates stronger emotional bonds. The highs feel intense because they're real. Disclosed flaws make affection seem genuine, but the lows, admitted yet inflicted, forge bonds through shared honesty. Like a twisted intimacy, it's bonding via trauma, where transparency glues you tighter to the abuser. In Stockholm Syndrome in relationships with self-aware abusers, it's amplified here. Victims defend the narcissist, empathizing with their struggles because they openly share them. They know they're broken. That takes courage. You think siding with your captor. The awareness humanizes them, making sympathy a chain that keeps you bound. Finally, some survival strategies to get you through. Start with boundary-setting techniques. Be crystal clear and consistent. Your selfishness isn't an excuse. If you cross this line, I'm out. Enforce with actions, not words, and don't negotiate. Use statements to own your limits without feeding their ego. Communication strategies that actually work, keep it factual, avoid emotional bait. Respond to manipulations with calm detachment. I hear you admitting that, but it doesn't change the impact. Don't engage in debate, state your truth and disengage. Gray rocking helps become boring, unresponsive to their tactics. When to stay vs, when to run, stay only if there's verifiable change. Therapy with progress, not just attendance, and mutual respect. But run if the abuse persists, if your mental health crumbles, or if kids are at risk. Prioritize safety. You can't fix them, but you can free yourself. Remember, you're worth more than disclosed damage. These people are playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, and they're not even trying to hide their strategy. All right? Picking up from the nightmare of day to day life with these self-aware narcissists, where their so-called insight turns relationships into minefields. Now let's pull back the curtain on their dark genius, how they stay miles ahead of the pack. These aren't your average manipulators fumbling through. No, the high-functioning self-aware narcissist is a whole different beast, operating on a level that's equal parts brilliant and terrifying. From my 45 years in the trenches, I've seen how their intellect isn't just sharp, it's weaponized, honed to predict, outmaneuver, and dominate. We're talking folks who could run circles around most people intellectually, using that brain power to fuel their narcissism in ways that keep them untouchable. It's dark because it's genius turned inward, all about self-preservation and control, with zero regard for the wreckage they leave behind. If you've ever wondered how they seem to always come out on top, stick with me. This is going to open your eyes. Now, let's explore their strategic thinking patterns and long-term planning. These people don't just react, they architect. Their minds work like grandmasters, plotting moves years in advance. Short-term wins, sure, but they're always eyeing the endgame, building empires, securing loyalties, eliminating threats before they even materialize. It's calculated. Folks, they assess risks, weigh options, and execute with precision. One pattern I've noticed is their ability to compartmentalize. They acknowledge their flaws in one breath, then in the next plan how to exploit yours. Long term, it's about sustainability, setting up systems where their narcissism thrives indefinitely, like cultivating a network that feeds their ego without them lifting a finger. From what I've seen, this isn't impulsivity, it's foresight on steroids, making them dangerously effective at staying ahead. And get this, how they study their victims and adapt their approach. It's like they're behavioral scientists with you as the lab rat. They observe, analyze, probe for weaknesses, your insecurities, triggers, even your strengths, then tailor their tactics accordingly. If you're empathetic, they'll play the victim card. If you're logical, they'll drown you in twisted reasoning. Adaptation is key. If one angle fails, they pivot seamlessly, using their self-awareness to refine on the fly. I know I'm manipulating you, they might say, but it's just to test your reaction and adjust. I've watched this in action. They build mental profiles, predicting how you'll respond and stay one step ahead. It's predatory, turning relationships into hunts where you're always the prey. Let me give you a professional example, a case study of a high-functioning executive I dealt with. This guy, let's call him Victor, was a CEO who ran his company like his personal kingdom. Fully self-aware narcissist. He'd admit in board meetings, I'm ruthless because I'm a narcissist, but it gets results. Behind the scenes, he studied his team, knew one VP's family issues, another's ambition, and used it all. He'd promote just enough to keep loyalty, then undermine subtly, always adapting. If someone pushed back, he'd switch to charm with a dash of honest vulnerability. In our sessions, Victor broke it down, Doc. I planned quarters ahead, studying people like chess pieces. He stayed ahead, amassing power while his transparency made him seem visionary. But the toll, burned out staff, broken trusts, classic dark genius. Cases like Victor show how this intellect turns workplaces into their playgrounds. Shifting gears to advanced manipulation techniques, starting with social engineering at the personal level. These folks are engineers of human behavior, hacking psyches like code. They don't just manipulate, they design interactions to extract what they want: admiration, compliance, resources. It's personal. They'll befriend you, learn your buttons, then press them precisely. I know I'm charming you for a favor. They might confess, but it works because the honesty disarms. From my experience, it's advanced because it's layered, emotional, psychological, even physical cues, all engineered to bend you to their will without you realizing until it's too late. Then there's building and maintaining their public image. Oh, they're masters at this. They craft personas that shine: the brutally honest leader or flawed but brilliant artist. Self-awareness helps. Admitting flaws up front makes them relatable, masking the toxicity. They curate stories, control narratives, ensure the world sees the polished version. Socially, it's about optics, volunteering publicly while exploiting privately, always maintaining that image is untouchable. I've seen it fool crowds. People admire the authenticity, blind to the manipulation underneath. Speaking of admiration, the honest villain, persona that people actually admire, that's their ace. They own their darkness. Yeah, I'm selfish, but I'm real, and twisted into something cool, edgy. Folks eat it up, thinking it's strength, not sickness. It's a persona that draws followers because in a fake world, honest villainy seems refreshing. But it's calculated. They revel in the admiration, using it to justify more harm. Don't get suckered. It's villainy, plain and simple, dressed as virtue. Now, community manipulation, how they control group dynamics. These narcissists don't operate solo. They orchestrate crowds, they sow divisions, align allies, isolate threats, all while admitting their game to a select few. In groups, they position as the hub, controlling info flow, turning dynamics to their favor. Think cults of personality where transparency binds the group tighter. From communities to families, they manipulate the collective, staying ahead by keeping everyone off balance. And in the digital age, their tactics on social media and online manipulation. Lethal. They curate feeds to amplify their image, troll subtly to test reactions, harvest data on friends for leverage. Algorithms are their playground, boosting posts that feed ego, doxing discreetly if crossed. Online, self-awareness shines. I know I'm curating my life, but isn't everyone? It disarms, but it's manipulation amplified, reaching masses with minimal effort. Moving to the support system construction, how they build networks of enablers. These aren't random, they're curated. They seek out yes men, people who overlook flaws for crumbs of attention. Building starts with charm, escalates to dependency, loans, secrets, favors, locking enablers in. Self-awareness helps. I know I'm using you, but you're benefiting too. It's a network that props them up, defends them, even when the truth stares everyone in the face. Recruiting flying monkeys who know the truth. That's next level. Flying monkeys are those proxies who do their bidding, spreading rumors, gaslighting on command. But with self-aware narcissists, these monkeys often know the score. Yeah, he's manipulative, but he's our guy. Recruitment involves grooming, sharing, honest, confessions to build loyalty, turning awareness into a bond. They know the truth yet enable anyway, blinded by charisma or fear. Then institutional manipulation, working within systems like workplaces, communities, families. They infiltrate, climb hierarchies, bend rules to their will. In families, they pit siblings at work, manipulate policies in communities, sway leaders. It's systemic, using self-knowledge to navigate in dominant structures, always emerging unscathed. And legal and financial manipulation strategies. Sneaky stuff. They twist contracts, hide assets, use honest admissions in court like, I know I'm difficult, but to sway judges. Financially, they drain partners subtly, always with disclaimers. It's strategic, protecting their empire while bleeding others dry. Finally, counter strategies to fight back. How to disrupt their game plan? First, educate yourself. Knowledge is your chess move. Predict their patterns, document everything, and don't engage emotionally. Starve their ego by going no contact or gray rock. Become uninteresting, unexploitable. Building awareness in their social circle, spread the truth subtly. Share resources on narcissism, highlight patterns without direct attacks, plant seeds of doubt among enablers. It weakens their network, isolates them. For protection protocols, safeguarding yourself and others means strong boundaries, legal if needed, like restraining orders. Build your own support therapy. Trusted friends. Teach kids or colleagues red flags. Prioritize mental health journal, meditate, reclaim your power. Remember, their genius thrives in shadows. Shine light and it crumbles. You're smarter than they think. Use it. You can't change them. You can't fix them, but by God, you can protect yourself and everyone you care about. All right, we've come a long way in this deep dive, peeling back the layers on these self-aware narcissists, from their twisted paradoxes and mental gymnastics all the way to their dark genius strategies that keep them ahead of the game. Now, it's time to shift gears, folks. We've done the education, we've spotted the patterns, and yeah, it's heavy stuff. But here's where we turn the corner, from just knowing about this mess to taking real, bold action. This is about empowerment, about recovery, about grabbing the reins of your own life and saying,
enough is enough.
I'm fired up about this part because I've seen it work time and again in my 45 years of helping folks break free. You deserve that freedom, and by golly, we're going to map out how to get it. Let's roll up our sleeves and get to it, because understanding this isn't just head knowledge, it's your ticket to a better life. Let me tell you why understanding is the first step to freedom. Knowledge like what we've unpacked here, it's power, pure and simple. When you get how these self-aware types operate, their transparent manipulations, their justifications, all of it, the fog lifts. You stop blaming yourself, stop thinking you can fix them, and start seeing the truth. Their awareness doesn't mean squat if it doesn't lead to change. From my experience, folks who arm themselves with this insight break cycles faster. It's like turning on the lights in a dark room. Suddenly, you see the exits, the traps, and you can navigate out. Without it, you're stumbling blind, but with it, you're unstoppable. I've watched patients transform once they truly understood. It's the foundation for everything else. Now, the reality check out, accepting you can't save them. Oh, this one's tough, I know. We all want to believe love or logic can crack that shell, especially when they're admitting their flaws. It feels so close to progress. But hear me straight, you can't. Their narcissism is wired deep, and their self-awareness often just polishes it, doesn't dismantle it. Trying to save them drains you dry, leaves you empty. I've counseled hundreds who poured their souls into fixing these people only to hit wall after wall. Accept it, folks, it's not on you. Let that sink in. Give yourself permission to stop the rescue mission and redirect that energy to saving yourself. It's liberating, I promise. And that leads right into personal responsibility, taking back control of your life. This is where you step up, own your choices, and rebuild from the ground up. No more waiting for them to change, you change your path. It starts with small acts, saying no, setting limits, choosing you. From 45 years in this, I can tell you, the folks who thrive are the ones who grab that responsibility like a lifeline. It's not about blame, it's about power. You decide your boundaries, your circle, your future. Remember that patient I mentioned earlier, the one trapped in a marriage with a self-aware narcissist? She finally took control, left, and rebuilt stronger, wiser. You can too. Own it, live it. Okay, let's get practical with an action plan, immediate safety assessment, and planning. First things first, if you're in danger, physical or emotional, assess it now. Ask yourself, is this escalating? Do I feel unsafe? If yes, plan your exit, quietly pack essentials, have a go bag, line up a safe place to crash. Don't announce it. These folks can turn nasty when cornered. I've advised clients to document incidents, change locks if needed, and involve authorities early. Safety isn't optional, it's priority one. Map it out step by step and execute. You got this. Next, support system building, finding and cultivating healthy relationships. These narcissists isolate you, so rebuild your tribe. Reach out to old friends, join groups, therapy circles, hobbies, whatever lights you up. Cultivate bonds with folks who lift you, not drain you. Look for reciprocity, empathy, the good stuff. In my practice, I've seen how a solid support network acts like armor. They validate you, hold you accountable, and remind you of your worth. Start small, one coffee date, one call. Build it intentionally and watch it become your fortress. Then professional help win and how to seek therapy. Don't go it alone, get a pro in your corner, win. As soon as you're out or deciding to leave, therapy helps unpack the trauma, rebuild self-esteem. How? Find someone experienced in narcissistic abuse. Ask about their approach to personality disorders. I've referred countless folks to therapists who specialize in this, and it works wonders. Sessions might involve cognitive behavioral techniques to rewire those doubt-filled thoughts. Invest in it. It's your roadmap to healing. And legal protections when necessary. Yeah, sometimes you need the big guns. If there's abuse, stalking, financial, funny business, lawyer up. Get restraining orders, divorce papers, custody arrangements locked in, document everything, texts, emails, incidents. It builds your case. From my work with families, I've seen how legal steps provide that crucial buffer, letting you breathe while the dust settles. Don't hesitate, protect yourself legally, and it empowers you massively. Shifting to long-term recovery strategy, starting with healing from the trauma of transparent abuse. This stuff leaves scars, anxiety, trust issues, that nagging self-doubt from their honest cruelty. Healing means processing it, journal, talk it out, maybe EMDR therapy for trauma. Give yourself time. It's not overnight. I've guided patients through this, watching them shed the weight of that abuse, emerging lighter, freer. Be gentle with yourself, cry, rage, then rebuild. You're healing a wound they inflicted, but you hold the balm, rebuilding trust in your own judgment. Crucial, folks. These narcissists make you question everything, so reclaim that inner voice. Start with small decisions, celebrate wins, reflect on past red flags you ignored. Over time, trust grows. In my sessions, I tell folks, your gut knew, honor it now. Practice affirmations, therapy exercises. It rewires that doubt into confidence. You've got wisdom now, trust it. Red flag recognition, never getting caught again. Arm yourself with that checklist: admissions without change, honest, excuses for harm, manipulation with disclaimers. Spot them early, the charm that feels off, the superiority veiled as insight. From experience, those who learn this dodge bullets left and right. Make it second nature. It's your shield. And teaching others, sharing knowledge to protect your community. Once you're solid, spread the word. Talk to friends, family, maybe online groups. Educate without preaching. Share your story if you're ready. I've seen this ripple out, saving lives. It turns your pain into purpose, building a web of awareness that weakens these narcissists' hold. Now, for that final empowerment, push the strength that comes from surviving this experience. Folks, you're a warrior, enduring a self-aware narcissist's games. That builds resilience like nothing else. You emerge tougher, wiser, with a fire that can't be dimmed. Celebrate it, own that strength. I've witnessed survivors channel it into amazing things, new careers, advocacy, deeper connections. It's your superpower now. How this knowledge makes you more valuable to others. Oh, yeah, you're a beacon now, spotting toxicity others miss, offering guidance that saves heartache. Friends lean on you, communities benefit. Its value multiplied, your ordeal becomes a gift to the world. community building, creating networks of awareness and support. Link up with fellow survivors, online forums, local groups. Share stories, resources, hold each other up. It's powerful. Together, you're unbreakable. I've seen these networks transform isolation into solidarity and personal growth opportunities that emerge from survival massive. This forces self-reflection, growth in empathy, boundaries, self-love. Many find passions they ignored, relationships that truly nourish. It's rebirth, folks, from ashes to flight. You're stronger than you know, and you deserve better. There, I said it, believe it, live it. Hit me up in the comments, share your stories, grab those resources I've mentioned, books, hotlines, whatever helps. Let's keep this conversation going. Your voice matters.